All right, everybody, welcome to the talk. I am Mike Leach, aka Punk Floyd Four Eyes. I'm here for the show, the T.H.E Network, and I am here with Daelan Moreno of Upscale Audio, and we're going to be talking all things hi-fi today. And I'm really excited for this interview. Thank you so much for joining me here, Daelan. And I just got to chat with you a little bit beforehand, and you just seem like a really cool guy. I'm looking forward to just chatting about the show.
Super stoked to be here. Thanks for having me, Mike. This is exciting.
So how long have you been with Upscale Audio?
It's been about a year.
Awesome.
So coming up on that, and it's been a wild ride for sure. A lot of fun. It's the best job I've ever had for sure.
Yeah, I was reading up on your website that it's quite a fun work environment. You guys go out of your way to make your customers feel comfortable and like you're not overselling them, that they're just there to take in the gear. And I think that's a really, really cool business model.
Yeah, I mean, we joke about making your system ours or treating your system like ours, but we really do. I mean, we take pride in setting up our demos. We don't do on the spot stuff. We want everything to be done 3 days in advance or anything like this, something like that, to make sure it's the best demo that you can possibly have and you get the best sound that you can get.
And I like that approach. If when I come into things, I want to make sure that I'm set up really well, I'm all prepared. And so I think that's awesome that you guys go the extra mile for your clients and customers. So. Well, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. So we were talking before, you actually weren't at the show last year, even though Upscale was at the show last year, and they brought some really cool stuff. They brought the Klipsch horns, some Pathos amplifiers, the T.H.E with some Prima Luna amps. And we were talking a little bit about this, and I thought what was really cool, it wasn't just about the audio. It was about the audio, but you guys brought plants, which was really awesome, and it made the picture so much better, and the audio sounded great.
Yeah, I mean, we're the show's in Costa Mesa, Southern California. If I could set up a whole beach scene and have palm trees and lawn chairs for everybody to relax in, I would do that. But that, unfortunately, it'd be really weird. I'm not carrying in 5-pound bags of sand. But you're right. You don't want it just to be, American Psycho style where you have speaker, chair. Like it looks kind of stale like that. To spruce it up with a little bit with some plants, make it a little bit more fun vibe. That's how we have our shop. We don't want it to be just, like I said, just a room with speakers and a chair.
That's awesome. I think that you guys definitely go the extra mile with your clients, and you obviously do that at the show as well. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys are bringing. And speaking of which, can you give us some hints of anything and that you're going to be bringing? And I know sometimes some exhibitors like to keep things abreast of what they're going to be bringing. But is there any hints of what you're going to be bringing this year to the show?
Well, I will be working the headphone section, so there will be headphones and there will be speakers and amplifiers. I can tell you that. There may be some plants. I can't promise you plants, but.
So are they going to be palms? Are they going to be,
That's a trade secret. That is an upscale secret. I cannot disclose our plants.
So are palms or ferns better for diffusion?
I think shrubberies. Shrubberies are typically a bit
shrubberies.
Yeah, typically palms. We'll get away with palms because we're in Costa Mesa. But I honestly don't know what we're bringing to the show. Even though I'm doing this live stream, it's kind of a mystery. I kind of like to be kept in mystery as far as what's there, and then show up and start unpacking things. Be like, oh, cool, we've got these. I can definitely say we'll probably have some fine audio. We're loving all their stuff that they send us, and people go crazy for it. I know at Expona we brought their vintage 15s, which is a gigantic 15-inch driver that is so fast and so accurate. I mean, we thought we were exploding drums when we were listening to some certain songs. We'll have that. We'll probably have some Prima Luna stuff on display. We'll probably have some pathos stuff. Our normal like bread and butter things for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, if nobody's listened to the fine audio stuff, come on in to our couple rooms that we've got. Listen to those. They're something else for sure.
So the Pathos amps are all of those hybrid tube amplifiers?
They are, yeah.
Okay.
They're hybrid or they're in pull, which is some Italian magic that they're throwing into an amplifier, and it's doing magic things. That's all I can explain it as.
Well, I enjoyed getting to listen to the amplifier that was on display last year. So this is going to be your first show. Is that
This will be,
correct?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. So I'm excited for you to get to experience the show for the first time because it's such a different audio show experience. It's so diverse, and you see families there.
Mhm.
You see ladies there. It's super inclusive, and that's the one thing I really like about T.H.E. Their heart is that audio is for everybody, and
Yeah.
it's reachable, it's attainable for anybody. And whether you're just doing a headphone setup, you're an audiophile, you're a
Oh
hi-fi
yeah.
fanatic. If you're going all out and you're dropping, dollar bills, I like to say, if you're dropping if you're dropping, 50 grand on a setup,
Yeah.
you're an audiophile. If you can only afford, $700, you're an audiophile. You
Totally. Yeah.
can you can build such a great system, and I think that's one thing I like about upscale audio is you have so many points uh, for the person who's coming into audio to the person that thinks they know everything about audio, and you're going to teach them something new still because you got
When we were at Expona this year, we had people that were spending 30 grand on headphones. We had people that were buying Dragonflies.
yeah.
Like I mean, that is the spectrum there, 200 bucks to 30 grand. And the people buying the $200, DAC headphone amp were like, this thing is sweet. This is awesome. Like, yeah, you can carry it around too. Like, I mean, I've got the little case on my desk right now. I mean, it sits there all day. Or I can go to work and listen to $100,000 speaker setup. They're both awesome though. So you're right. The kids can have their DAC amp plugged into their little laptop if they're playing Minecraft or whatever it is, and dad and mom can have their gigantic setup with their TV or their audio listening room.
It's great. It's awesome that we get to be ambassadors for such an awesome hobby,
Yeah.
because it's all about the music, and that's the thing. If it wasn't for the music, that we wouldn't have the hobby. And so I'm just grateful, that I have so many ways to be able to enjoy the music, and upscale audio offers so many different entry points as well because you also have a great used selection, and that's a great way for somebody who's wanting to step up their system to get
Yeah.
into something a little step up, maybe,
Yeah, we
maybe
do.
even
I mean,
more.
we do trade-ins and stuff, and we get some cool stuff. I mean, someone might trade in uh, like an older Prima Luna stuff, maybe like a prologue or a dialogue from them, step up to one of the new Evo series or even a Pathos or a Bat amp, whatever it may be. But yeah, you can definitely kind of mix and match your parts and get something used. And we have open box stuff, and some of our open box stuff is a deal. It may have just been, we opened the box because we needed some pictures. That's new. I mean, if you're okay with us, cutting the tape, pulling it out, and taking some pictures and putting it back in the box. I mean, that's a deal.
Oh yeah, I'm up for any deal when it comes to audio, especially as much as some of it can cost sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, I do want to say, if you're watching this live and you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will relay them over to Daelan, and he'll answer your questions. We got our good friend Larry. Larry is with us at the moment on the chat. So tell me about some of the products that you carry at Upscale, and and then also, I would like to know what are some of your personal favorites?
So I mean, we carry everything. You've kind of mentioned a lot of them: Fine, Prima Luna, Cabas, Pathos, Clips. We're a really big Clip dealer, and then some of my favorite stuff, honestly, the Klipsch, anything Klipsch Heritage line, I love the dynamics that you get from it. I want to crank the amp and be in the front row. If I'm listening to them Crooked Vultures or
Nice.
some Pearl Jam, I'm turning it up to 9 for sure, and people might not like it because they're trying to like write emails or something, and you can hear Eddie Vedder and Dave Grohl just banging on drums and playing guitars as fast as they can. Cool, sorry, but that's what I'm doing. Clip stuff is great. Like I already mentioned, the Fine stuff, all of their entire lineup is incredible. The detail that you get by something like a SoCal, but with the dynamics of a Klipsch kind of thrown into one. And then my all-time favorite right now is the Cambridge Audio, the Evo 150, that all-in-one streamer, DAC,
Nice.
combo, amplifier. My first day, I sat next to my coworker who has one in their office, and I was like, well, that's cool. Pretty screen. I'll be honest, it was the screen. I was like, whoa, that's awesome. It has the wood sides that you can change out to be black. And then we have the DeLorean edition right now that's all silver. It's got DNC on it.
That's cool.
It's not overly high end, but
Does it
it's
have a
awesome.
flux capacitor on it?
We were trying to figure out how to get it. The funny story, actually, the day we got one and opened it up, a fully restored DeLorean drove right past the store.
That's awesome.
On the back of it, we're like, there's no way. Did it just know? Was it a flux capacitor? Did this thing come out at 88 miles an hour from the Fairplex? What's happening here?
That's funny. So what's really cracking me up right now. So my system that I've built, most of my system is vintage, and I did integrate some newer, more modern gear into it. And I'm running Klipsch Heresy ones.
Okay.
And I'm using them paired with a sub because the Heresy ones are a little, they need a little
small. They're small.
Need a little support.
Yeah.
And then I'm running a Cambridge Audio AXR 85, and
okay.
It works really good with. I'm using a Harman Kardon T.H.E vintage turntable with all that,
nice.
and then got a DAC and all that set up as well, so it can be a little more modern, and got streaming too. So
nice. I know. I mean, Heresies are some of my favorite speakers just from the size and the dynamics that you get out of them. If I were to build a system right now, it would probably be the Evo 150 with a pair of Heresies.
Oh yeah.
Is it the best pairing? Probably not, but I love that screen is so pretty. The screen's, like I said, I'm simple. You can get me with the screens. Same reason why I like the Hi-Fi Rose stuff. Their screens are just absolutely gorgeous. And then we just brought on Eversolo, and same thing. I mean, but the sound that we're getting out of the Eversolos for the price, I mean, that DNP A8 is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Aesthetics is a big part of the audio experience. I mean, in the sense that, okay, you're buying this gear, you're buying it for the sound first and foremost, right?
Yes.
But if it can look really good too, that's like a big plus.
Yeah. No, I've seen some amps and I'm like, that is the most atrocious looking thing. Like, at least to me, some people think it's gorgeous, but I'm like, no, I'm not putting that on my desk. Like I do headphones, obviously I've got my Hi-Fi Men on, but I'm not putting that on my desk. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, we're not naming any names.
No, not at all. No, not throwing anybody under the bus.
Yeah, there's some stuff that I would be like, if it sounded really good, I would probably put it in the system. Yeah. I just might hide it behind something.
I might build some Legos in front of it, make it look pretty or something.
I am so sorry. That was not supposed to happen. I had my thing on. That shouldn't happen. All right. Well, hey, we get interruptions sometimes. Let me make sure that this do not disturb thing is on. I was supposed to do that beforehand.
I'll double check mine.
It makes for a good show though, because you get the little interruption. And
honestly, I didn't even hear it. So
all right, let's see if that'll work.
Really well.
Might work. All right. So at the show, I really can't stress enough how awesome the people connections are there, because we really get an opportunity to not only meet great exhibitors and companies who distribute this amazing equipment, we also get to mingle with the actual creators and manufacturers of this gear.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of bring the conversation to something I saw on your website today. You have the SourcePoint 888s
Oh my gosh.
on the site. And
Yes.
Andrew Jones is going to be at the show.
So like a month before I started Upscale, we had an event and he was there. And I've known Andrew Jones. I had a pair of his original ELAC DB6s when I was in college. I got them from Best Buy because I was working there, so I got them for like $150
Oh, nice.
with a used Pioneer SC91 amp that we had on display and on demo, and then open boxed. So it was like an $1,100 amp I got for $200. Absolutely crazy setup. And so when my coworker texted me, it's like, hey, you should come to this event, come meet everybody. Andrew Jones is going to be there. I was like, wait a second, like Andrew Jones, the Andrew Jones, like ELAC Andrew Jones. He's like, yeah, he's with MoFi now. I'm like, no, I know. And I got to meet him. I was like, hello, sir. He's like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm like, I shook this dude's hand. Like,
he's super down to earth, though.
He is. He was super cool. Got to see him at Expona. I didn't get a chance to listen to the SourcePoint 888s, but I saw him wandering around in a box. So that was exciting. It's like, those are new. Cool.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to listen to them this year at the show.
Definitely.
And Larry, my friend Larry on via Facebook is asking, is Upscale Audio open by appointment only, or do they welcome walk-ins?
So if you want to listen to something specific, Larry, if you wanted to do clipped horns with Prima Luna and rail subs, like that's your dream system, you want to listen to that, we would do an appointment. If you wanted to show up on a weekday, just wander in, check out the shop, we'll give you a tour, we'll give you some water, we'll show you the bathrooms, that's always important. You're more than welcome to, but we can't guarantee we have anything set up. We're always doing things, we're always moving things around. If we're getting new speakers in, there might just be boxes as we're a tornado of speaker cables and interconnects and speakers. But there's usually one room set up. Our home theater room is one room. It's always set up for sure because everything's in the wall. So we're not going to change that around. But you're more than welcome to stop by. And if you're doing appointments Tuesday through Saturday, give us a call first. Give us about 3 days.
Make sure to call.
Yes, please.
And figure out what you want to listen to.
Yeah, we can't always guarantee we're going to have everything available for you. We're a small shop. We don't have 100 SoCal speakers on display. We don't have their entire lineup on display, but we've got a good meshing of everything, and we can find something that'll be pretty close to something that you may want to listen to that we don't have out. We can get you there.
One of the things, before I segue into turntables, I wanted to mention that on your website, you are currently trying to hire, or you're hiring a turntable technician.
We are, yeah.
So I just wanted to give that a shout out. If you are all things turntable and you know everything about setting up a turntable, every aspect of it, from the tone arm to the plinth to whatever you got to do to the cartridge, you need to get that application into.
I believe our posting says, do you use the word azimuth like 4 times a day or something like that? It's like, if you use that more than you call your mom, you need to apply or something like that. It's something silly, but yeah, we're looking for somebody that knows their stuff. We have a pretty stellar analog team, and our analog manager, he puts hands on to pretty much every turntable, cartridge, tone arm that comes through the shop. So he just needs some help. He can do it all for sure. The man does it all. He's absolutely wonderful. But it's a lot. We do a lot of analog stuff.
Yeah, so you carry a pretty wide range of turntables. You carry VPI, Raga, some MoFi, Project. A Music Hall was one that I haven't had an experience with. Could you tell me a little bit about Music Hall?
Honestly, I can't. I don't touch any of that stuff.
Okay.
I'm one of the headphone guys and the home theater guys. I don't even look at the turntables. They scare me. I mean, we have, like you said, we have so many brands. We have so much, only so much room to have turntables out.
Yeah.
And if anybody calls me for something other than like a project debut, and that's because I have one, dude, I'm passing it on. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm not the person to talk to. If you want to talk headphones and home theater, cool.
Well, that's a good segue to talking about headphones and home theater. Well, okay, tell me about some of the headphone products that you carry at Upscale. And then obviously you like Hi-Fi Man because you own a pair.
I do. I have 3 pairs of headphones myself. I have my Hi-Fi Man right now, the 4XXs. Honestly, I bought them because they were comfortable, and I got them during COVID. Everyone all of a sudden was stuck at home, and I was just sitting on my computer all day, listening to music, playing games, whatever. And my Grados, as wonderful as they are, I can't listen to them for 8 hours. The headband just doesn't have enough comfort, and my ears were starting to hurt. So I got a pair of Hi-Fi Man off a recommendation from a friend, and I love these things. They're plugged into I have a Shit Asgard 4 with a Manny preamp or for my turntable, and then a Cobalt Dragonfly.
Nice.
Super simple setup. I do get to take home some stuff from work, which is super fun. So, I mean, some of I'm planning on taking home the Pathos Aureum that we've got. It's a hybrid headphone amplifier. It was one of the favorites that we had at Can Jam and at Expona. Probably that with some SoCal Utopias maybe, or some Stellias. Whatever I can get my hands on, honestly, and bring it home for a month or two.
Oh yeah, and if I was in that position, I would do the same.
Yeah, I think Thursday and Friday of this last week we were doing an A/B testing of the Pathos in-pole ear, so their big headphone amp, versus the Felix Envy with a pair of Susvaras, and just seeing which heavyweights can drive these headphones, because they're just so complicated and so demanding.
Yeah. I've been I actually run some shit in my system too. It's so punny. I don't know. I have a Modi.
When a buddy told me about him, I'm like, you're joking, right? He's like, no.
Well, I guess the story behind that was that his wife he kept telling his wife, I'm going to go do some stuff in the garage or whatever, and she's like, you should just call your company that.
Yeah, you can't you need a name. He's like, oh, I can't figure it out, and that's how it got its name. And they've got a store just down the road from us, so I've been there.
Oh, that's great.
And it's across the street from a gastropub, so make a day out of it. Go get a beer and a hamburger, and then go listen to nice music.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to maybe catching a beer with you, Daelan, we're at the show, because that's one of the really cool times at the show, is just really hanging out, talking audio gear and hi-fi, and also there's some after hours listening sometimes as well. People will open up their rooms, and it's always good to get to check out stuff a little longer.
There is.
So
as long as people are they're turning it off at quiet hours, I'm strict on that one. I want to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's true. They usually kick it down by 10.
There are some people, again, not naming names, not throwing anyone under the bus. But Expona, there was some bass lines going at 11:30 midnight. I was nice and comfy in bed.
You had boots, cats, boots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh man, like I'm just trying to go to sleep. Let me grab my noise canceling headphones and
see
don't fall off.
Daniel Ross Thomas on Facebook says, looking forward to seeing your room at the show this year. He also says, those are the best times to listen. Oh, yes.
I agree. They are the best times, but just don't crank it. We can do easy listening stuff,
Yeah, we can bust out some Sade,
I wasn't going to say Sade, but you read my mind,
Some Hall & Oates.
If for at that time, I might throw in some Basha, some Matt Bianco, get a little jazzy.
Yeah, we could do that. We should do some Mac DeMarco is kind of
Cool.
chill
The
as well.
pepperoni
We can.
playboy himself.
Yeah. I wasn't gonna say any of the usual Diana Krall
Oh,
or
stop. No, just stop it. Stop it.
Keith Don't Go, all
Uh,
the usual. It's
yeah.
funny. I try to when I go to the audio shows, I try to bring in songs that I really like to listen to that I've found that aren't the typical, hi-fi, listening test songs. And
Hmm.
I found one by Alison Krauss and
Okay.
Union Station called "It Doesn't Matter," and that song is so fantastic for testing a
Yeah.
system because it's so dynamic, and I don't hear it anywhere. So
I
I'm
mean,
up.
I get kind of stereotypical. I do Alice in Chains, MTV Unplugged. You hear
Yeah,
that a lot,
that's
but
it's
I
good though.
I love grunge. Like that's my favorite. Pearl Jam's my favorite. So if I can listen to that album all the way through, cool. But my coworker Chris and I will also throw in some Jimmy Buffett. We'll get a little silly. We'll go to Margaritaville. We'll have a good time.
Oh
So
yeah.
you really have to determine which way you're gonna go.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you find well recorded music, it's especially if it's. I think a lot of people at audio shows that are
Hmm.
presenting a gear, they're wanting to play stuff that people are familiar with,
Yeah.
and so I know that that's why a lot of those songs, get played over and
Yeah, no,
over. But
and I get that. You hear a lot of the same stuff. Some of my favorite things right now that I've been testing with have been a couple songs off of Greta Van Fleet's first album.
yeah,
Black Smoke Rising and Highway Tune are just they're so powerful and in your face, but they're recorded well and they still have that Led Zeppelin sound.
Led
Led
Zeppelin
Zeppelin
2.0.
kind of mixed with Rush. There's a couple Rush
Oh
songs
yeah,
sounding in there, but they're not from the 70s and 80s. So it's actually recorded well. And we had it on some Cornwalls the other day
hmm
with an Evo 300 hybrid amp. And it was easily the best I've heard the Cornwalls. I don't know who set it up in the shop, but props to you. They did a good job because I had that cranked. It was probably getting close to 100 dB and just wailing on the guitar.
Well, then I'm going to request that you bring the Cornwalls to the show this year,
Again, I don't know who set them up, but
at the expense of your backs.
at the expense of my back. Yeah, I forget how big those are.
they're they're pretty big. They're pretty sizable.
We see them every day in the shop, and it's whatever. But I went out on like a house call to help someone to deliver a driver for them, and then there's Cornwalls in their room. I'm like, wait a second, are you sure these are these the same Cornwalls? These are the same speakers. These are way bigger than ours. Like what happened here? Are these in bulking season? I don't know. I just forget. You get so numb at the shop seeing stuff every day
Yeah.
in a big space, and then you throw them in a normal shop. I mean, Klipschorns look small to me now. I'll say it. They're not. They're jumbo speakers.
Well, they're not the Jubilees though. Those
Those
are
look small to me too. When we had them in our shop, they're just kind of in a corner. But oh my goodness, you see them in the warehouse. I'm like, those are big.
yeah.
Those are not small speakers.
I know. I'm almost. I want to like upgrade my heresies to Fortes, but
Mm.
I'm not sure in my space if it's going to be workable or not. But they're not much bigger than the heresies, are they?
They're taller. I mean,
Yeah.
you have like a 12-inch or a 15-inch driver on the back of them, so
Yeah.
you forget about that. I forget about that. I mean,
I would just like to get back to just like 2-channel, because I do have a
mm,
sub in my setup, and I got it dialed in to where it seems like it's a part of the speed,
yeah,
the heresies, which is what you're wanting to do.
yeah.
But still, I look at it and I go, "There's a subwoofer there."
I mean, you don't need a sub, and there's some people that are going to say, subs are the worst possible thing you could do in a 2-channel setup. When I worked at Best Buy, that's kind of what they were telling people. It's like you don't need a sub. You can get really good bass, but sometimes if I've got a pair of heresies, I want a sub. If I'm going to
Yeah,
run something like La Scalas that have zero bass, they roll off at like 48 hertz or something. I need a sub.
Oh
You have
yeah.
to have a sub with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's some times where I'm gonna just turn the sub up in the shop and make it a little obnoxious, and it's really fun.
I crank mine up every once in a while, depending on what I'm playing. Maybe I'm listening to Dead Mouse or something, and I'm,
Yeah, ghostly stuff, cool.
Yes.
If we had a guy come into the shop and he put on some Fred Again's new album,
Yeah.
and a nice boiler room set going through really fancy Kabas speakers. Yeah, that's really what I want, and then crank it. And it was so much fun. It was this like weird mashing of art and aesthetics to boiler room set.
Let's see. I'm looking over at the chat, and Marit said from Facebook says we have taken over enough of that hotel. Let's see. I can't imagine quiet hours will be that big of a deal. Oh yeah, there's a lot of rooms that have sold out at the show this year, so it's going to be quite an awesome experience this year. Let's see. What did Daniel Thomas said? He's listening at cruising speeds is quite valuable too. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You don't need it at 11. We're not going Spinal Tap every time we listen. Just occasionally. Sometimes you need a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I have like this threshold on my system where I'm usually listening there, and I know that like on the AXR 85 or AX 85. Usually, like when I'm listening to vinyl, it's at about 25.
Okay. Yeah.
And then if I'm streaming, it's 30 or less. It just depends. And that's like and that's a happy, like lively listening level. I can listen a little lower than that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I know where the little dot should be on my headphone amp, but sometimes, you got to turn it up. When I was writing my final paper, it was right as Chris Cornell had passed. It was like 2 days after Chris Cornell passed. And luckily I was the last person kind of in the building because I was senior and all the freshmen, juniors, and sophomores had moved out. But I had my speakers absolutely cranked, and I'm sure there was going to be noise complaints. But you just gotta let it wail sometimes.
Sometimes you gotta turn it all the way up.
Yeah, playing Ride the Lightning with headphones on and having that cranked, it makes it a lot more fun.
Oh yeah. Well, Daniel, we discussed what Upscale was going to be bringing this year, and it's kind of hush hush at the moment. We will
There's
be finding
a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of stuff. Like I said, there'll probably be some Fine with some Pathos, some Prima Luna. I believe we have a Kabas room. So there's a good mix of stuff that you'll be able to listen to, Daniel.
All right. Let's see. Marit says, my ears are definitely tired by the end of the day. Well, it depends on how much you're listening, how many, but yeah, it can definitely, your ears definitely change over time listening to anything. That's why they say it's always good to give yourself a little breaks in between.
Yeah. Grab some food, mingle about, maybe do some jumping jacks. I don't know. Whatever you need to do to fix your mental, fix the physical ears, get it done.
So let me talk a little bit, or have you talk a little bit about Kevin. Kevin's a big deal. I'm going to use the pun.
I love the pun.
The company was started in 1994 because of Kevin's fascination with tubes. And I just want to like kind of get into this whole like realm of tube amplification because I'm a guitar player, and that's where most of my tube experience is. And I haven't gotten into the tube realm when it comes to hi-fi audio yet, and it's something I'm really interested in. So talk a little bit about Kevin and his adventures in tube rolling.
He started the company and as just a way to get people to buy tubes. He was going to be a tube dealer and stuff like that. And I swear the dude has more wild stories about finding tubes Like he could be on a ski trip in Aspen or something. This doesn't happen. This is just an example. But he could be a ski trip in Aspen at a bar, and there would be like he'd be eating a burger, and there would be a tube on the shelf. And it just so happened that the bar owner owned like 10,000 tubes that were brand new, and he was looking to sell them. Like random things like this. I always joke that he was on safari and ended up in like a hut hiding from animals, and there was tubes there, and he found them and sold those tubes. And you're right, he is a big deal, pun intended. That's his last name. If you're not sure, if you don't know, but he's like the coolest guy ever. You know, he's super rad, and he's one of the few people I know that still uses the word bitchin',
That's
and
bitching.
it's awesome. I mean, he's my favorite. So it went from selling tubes to retail store, and it's you know, to people coming in and calling him Uncle Kevy. I mean, he's kind of the tube guy.
Yeah, he and the selection you carry not only new tubes, but you carry new old stock stuff
We
that
do.
he's just dug up from
Like I said,
somebody's like
found it
warehouse
on Safari.
somewhere in a corner, and they just happen to have like a bunch of 300B
Yep.
tubes sitting around, and they're from like 1940.
Exactly. Exactly. He somehow got in contact with the British Royal Air Force, and they said, "Hey, we've got tubes."
That's a
And
great
somehow he
source.
got that connection, and I'm sure that's where tubes came from. That's where how he found these random tubes that were in planes. I don't know. They come from all over the place. But yeah,
I, I
we have a crazy stock of new old stock and new stock stuff.
I've seen tubes come up locally on Facebook Marketplace that someone said, my grandfather owned like a electronics repair store,
Yeah.
and he had all these in his basement, and it's just like you're looking at them, and there are all these tubes that you like, what did these go in?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those are the kind of finds that Kevin would pull up, right?
100%. Yeah, it's really cool. And I came from a background of all solid state. My introduction to tubes was going to Best Buy, the Magnolia Center, and then seeing Macintosh stuff on display. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what is that? That's weird. It lights up. It's green. It's orange. I am so confused here. Um,
So
but it's this whole thing. Yeah.
so has Kevin done the tube rolling experience with you yet?
I don't, man, my first week at Upscale, we drove down to Audio Quest because they're just down the road from us in Irvine. And I drove with Kevin, and it was like 2 hours of talking to Kevin about tubes, and I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I knew nothing about tubes at this point. I just straight up asked him, like, Kevin, what's tube rolling? Like, are you like physically rolling tubes? Is this? He's like, no, it's just changing. I'm like, oh, okay,
It's just
I feel
changing
silly
around.
now. Please don't throw me out the car.
They all can have such a different different dynamic
and
change, and
we really
even
don't recommend them because of that. We don't, like, if you call me and be like, hey, what's the best 12AU7 for my random amp that I built? I don't know.
yeah,
What do you I
you
haven't listened to every random tube on every random amp.
it's something you really have to experience,
It is.
in on your actual amplifier.
Yeah.
And I've learned that just with my guitar amps, because I've changed them out, and I put a tube in, and it went completely sterile, and I was like,
Yeah.
and then I
We
put another tube in there, and it was like life.
yeah, we were when we were listening to those Cornwalls the other day, we were using the Evo 300 hybrid amp, and we didn't realize that we'd switched out all the tubes in it to be Mullards. So we're listening to there's a bunch of us that are around 30, and we're listening to Welcome to the Black Parade, and we're like, this sounds so warm and listenable. I don't want to like gouge my ears out from this being just so in your face. We're like, what is going on? And we're like, what? Look at the tubes. Someone look at the tubes and they're like, they're Mullards. Ah,
Yeah.
okay. This makes so much more sense.
That's awesome. That kind of, like, makes me think about having a couple different tube setups, for certain types of listening. Because there's some albums like Thrice is a band I really like a lot, but I have a hard time listening to them on my main system because it just doesn't seem as good as it
Well,
should.
that's what I was saying. We've got a couple guys at work that really like metal. We
Yeah.
really like metal, and we're still kind of that it's not a phase mom emo kid inside, and you can't listen to that music all the time. It hurts.
Oh,
I mean,
and there's some metal that's actually recorded pretty well.
yeah.
I just picked up a Lamb of God album. I think it's
Okay.
Omens, and that one actually sounds pretty dope.
Love that.
I listen to everything though. I listen to classical jazz all the way up to screamy metal.
The only thing I can't listen to is country. I don't care what people say. I just haven't found it, and it's okay with me.
I was like that for a second too, but then I discovered outlaw country because that stuff actually can be pretty legit.
I still like a lot of folk.
Your Waylon Jennings, your
Yeah.
Johnny
Oh
Cash
yeah.
stuff,
Well, it's like a mix of folk and country. It's kind of hard to decide where you're at with them. And I was gonna say the closest I'll get is like Waylon Jennings or
Yeah.
Johnny Cash. I think iTunes still classifies Jimmy Buffett as country. He's not. Like,
That's funny.
He's his own blend of music.
As for like newer-ish, I should say ish. The Civil Wars, I have like a big thing for. I love them vocally together. Just I don't know that there's some magic.
There's a couple songs my coworker Joel has showed me, and he's from Tennessee, so he's grown up with a lot of country, a lot of twang, and he's got some good stuff that's pretty folk rock. You could classify it as country rock. I won't because I'm just not saying it's country, but it's pretty good. There's a lot of banjo, but it's like intense banjo, if that makes sense.
Intense banjo.
Yeah.
Larry Stugel is saying that Beyonce opened up my ears to country. All right, no, I haven't actually checked out Beyonce's country offering, so maybe I should give it a shot.
I didn't get the Beyonce thing until I saw her in concert for free. I got tickets somehow, and I didn't get it until I got it.
Seeing somebody live versus checking out their albums. I've had those experiences where I saw someone live and it made me an instant fan because I saw their talent, I saw their art, and I started listening to their music because I mean, seeing them open up for someone else.
Seeing her Put a Ring on It, walking down a catwalk that's full of water. It was like, whoa, what? I get it. Yeah, 100%. Cool. Take my money.
So Beyonce gets a high five from us here at the show and Upscale Audio.
She is Queen Bee.
She is the Queen Bee.
Simple as can be, yeah.
We'll give her props. I wanted to talk about something that's been on my radar that you carry at Upscale Audio, and that is musical fidelity.
Okay.
The only thing that I've read in checking out reviews and things like that if I did decide to go with something like musical fidelity in my amplification, I might have to change my speakers.
Have you watched our Instagram video of us talking about how hot the A1 gets? We gave Joel the hot chip challenge, the 1 chip challenge, right? Which is supposed to burn your mouth and do all these crazy things. And you have to have gloves to handle this chip. We said, okay, eat this chip and then talk about why Class A gets so hot. And they put it out like the week I think I started out, and I was, what is happening here? This is not a job. Why are we talking about amplification that gets so hot that it's going to burn you? And this guy's eating a chip. And it's like we were talking about, like, can we do a video where we fry an egg on top of this amp? We probably could, and it sounds so good. That's I'm willing to get a little burn on the elbow when I reach over to plug something in if it sounds that good.
That's the thing. I had a guitar amplifier that was the same way. It was Class A, and it hooked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it did sound really good.
Yeah. It's Southern California, so we didn't get super cold during the winter, but the sound rooms were nice little space heaters with certain amps in there.
Yeah.
And if we bring some of the big pathos to the show, which I think we are, I mean, that room is 20 degrees hotter than the hallway.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, man, Daelan, this has been really awesome. It's been great to get
Thank
to
you so
chat
much.
with you. I'm really excited to see what Upscale is going to bring this year to the show. How many rooms did you guys book this year?
I think we have 4.
That's awesome.
I think so. I could be
So
wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's 4.
that's going to be an epic offering from Upscale Audio. I'm looking forward to getting to meet you face to face, Daelan,
Definitely.
and
And I'm holding you to that beer. We will
we
talk
will
music.
catch that beer.
If it's got to be Beyonce and beers, cool. Let's do it.
I'm up
Our
for
own
it.
version of a B&B.
The B. Awesome. Wow, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the talk as part of the T.H.E network for the show. If you haven't got your tickets yet for the show, you can get them at the show now. If you use code ambassador5, high five, you get a discount off of your tickets. Rooms have sold out at the Orange County Hilton. So you'll want to book a room somewhere around in a hotel around there. Or if you live in the area, you can Uber in and hang out. If you have to crash in my room, I might let one of you crash in my room.
It'll be a raffle. He'll let you know down the line when that happens.
Yeah, but man, it's going to be a really great show. I'm looking forward. There's so much going on. There's going to be live music. There's going to be events. You're going to see, really cool things going on with Andrew Jones. You're going to get to hear the Source Point 888 there as well. And man, there's so many more things going on. I think gosh, I'm trying to remember. I just lost his name. It's all right. There's so much going
on there. I mean, it's impossible to keep everything on your mind.
It's going to be really cool. So if you like to get to test drive every Italian sports car, German sports car, like everything that you could possibly want to get behind the wheel of, that is what the show is like. You get to test drive all these amazing hi-fi setups, and it's so awesome. It's like such a cool experience. You get to figure out what you want, what you like, what you want to add to your system. And that's one of the greatest things about it, because if you're like me, you don't have a hi-fi store, sci-fi shop that you can go to and just sit there and listen and check stuff out. But if you're in the Los Angeles area, you can go to Upscale Audio. You can call ahead and you can set up to have your personal listening experience.
I answer the phones. You might talk to me,
which will be totally awesome. And someone might lay on the floor beside you as you're listening and just look up at you and say, man, do you feel the vibe in here? Well, again, this has been really awesome, Daelan.
So much,
and
Mike.
tell everybody at Upscale, like I said, hey, and I'm llooking forward to seeing them at the show this year. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be at headphones. Come find me. Come say hey. If you just wanted to hang out, listen to some cool stuff, I got you.
Have an awesome night, everyone. And as I say on my show all the time, high five, because that's what I do over on Instagram. That's my thing. Gosh, come to the show, see all this amazing gear, all the amazing offerings that all the exhibitors are going to have. And please stop by Upscale's rooms and come say hi to Daelan, because he will be saying hi back for sure.
Yeah, I'll say hi. Don't worry. I won't blow you off.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And I'm signing off.
Thank you.
All right.